Hello, everybody. Kate Dillon with Crate Insider. And today I have a very special interview that I'm so excited to bring you. I have on this show, we're going to bring on James Bloss. He is the product manager of the Performance to Parts division for Chevrolet Performance. So let's welcome James here. And James, welcome so much. Thank you for taking the time for this interview. And tell us a little bit about yourself for my viewers.
Definitely. Hi, Kate. And again, I really appreciate you giving me the opportunity to join you here and explain, what's going on in Chevrolet Performance Parts. Little background on me. I've been with Chevrolet Performance Parts for over 13 years. I started my career out of high school and actually out of tech school as a ASE technician. I am still ASE Master certified. I still work on my own race cars, my own hot rods, and my own family cars. So I am a very technical product manager, and then learning more of the business side as I go. But being in it for 13 years, I'm getting there for sure. But a very technical product manager, which might be a little different than what some people are used to. There's a lot of people in the field that know me, but might not recognize me. I don't normally have a beard, but I am going as Santa Claus to a party next weekend. So I took the opportunity to take that as an advantage.
Well, that's a really fun side note there. So Santa James Bloss then, but
Santa
I want to
James,
lead. Yep,
yeah.
I want to lead off with the biggest question. What's filling my inbox now, and it has for years and years. Many times I've heard this rumor, and that is GM going to continue making the 602, 604, and the CT525 crate engines, or are they going to be a thing of the past coming soon?
Definitely, Chevrolet Performance Parts is continuing in this space. I just looked up all my inventory. I currently have over 400 CT350s combined. Old part number, new part number. I have 150 604s and I have over 100 CT525s. As well as last year, we launched a CT525 racing long block that can actually be customized to certain sanction bodies. And I have all of these in stock. I have 90% of the parts to support all of these in stock. And the 10% that were out, we're just struggling still with some component issues, but we have no interest in leaving this space whatsoever.
Can you tell me a little bit about that, about the supply chains and some of the product that we have had some challenges with availability this year, and it are those some how are you addressing that, and what can we look forward to, especially in the 2025 season?
We are actually, I mean, when we look at the racing stuff alone, the racing engines, we've had pretty good inventory there. We have had some parts issues, and what we've had to do is work through some resourcing because the majority of these parts, especially the small block 350 stuff, is over 50 years old. We got a lot of suppliers that want to get out of the business because it's old and it's low volume. So they want out, they want newer stuff, they want high volume. So when that happens, we have to do a resource. And because we are the originator, we are the company, we cannot just go get an off the shelf part, put it on, and walk away. We have to do a ton of research. We have to do validation. We have to do PPAP. We have to bring this on and make sure that it's going to have the quality that our customers are used to. So our typical resource can take between 6 months and a year to resource a part. But we are putting processes in place. We are getting better at realizing what parts are going away sooner. We're actually buying bridge buys of those parts so that we can bridge over that 6 months to a year. And again, a number of parts that have given us trouble in 24, we have either completed the resource recently or we are right on the cusp of completing that resource. And then we'll be able to continue to keep those parts shipping to our customers.
That's such a relief. I really appreciate that. I actually do sell a lot of valve springs, and so I certainly appreciate that valve springs will be available. Now, that also probably leads me to there have been a couple of changes, and I want to address those changes and whether they have made any difference in the performance. So, and it could be a resourcing. I mean, you can answer this, but for instance, the latest cylinder heads on the 602s and the 604s. Anytime there's a change and there's something new, we hear, oh my gosh, it must be so much better. So are the latest cylinder heads any better than what they were 3 or 4 years ago?
Absolutely not. The first one I'll address because it's easy is the 604. We haven't changed anything on the 604 in over 5 years. About 5 years ago, we did resource to a new casting, but to a new caster. But when we did that resource, we used the same print. So before it was acceptable, this head comes in and it flows identical. It weighs the same. It's just as dense. Everything is identical with that head. So recently, no changes to the 604 cylinder head at all. The 602, the only change to the cylinder head, and this may lead into your next question, but the only change to the cylinder head is the screw-in stud versus the press-in stud. And that decision was made to help keep the price exactly the same. Now, I just talked about how certain suppliers of this older stuff want out. The press-in stud supplier wanted out. And if they didn't get out, or if we resourced to keep them on board or to resource, that stud was going to increase in price quite a bit, which then, because, just the way the business flows, of course, the end using price would have gone up. We did some looking into it, and the stud that we already use in the 604 is readily available, and it was basically the price of the old press-in stud. So we were going to switch over to the press-in stud, and we were able to do it for almost nothing. And even though it does not do anything for performance, it actually is a little more reliable. I have heard of several sanctioning bodies that actually allow a changed spring with a little more pressure. And those sanctioning bodies have been known to pull the press-in studs a little bit. Once they pull the press-in studs, of course, your seat pressure goes down, your open pressure goes down. And at that point, you've got an issue, and usually it can't be repaired. So the screw-in stud for those guys is very, very welcoming because, of course, we're not going to pull the screw-in stud. But performance-wise, not one iota of difference.
That is, yeah, and yes, you absolutely anticipated. My next question was all about those screw and rocker
Right.
studs, but you also touched on one other thing there too, is that we have seen some price increases,
Yeah.
and some of them are quite dramatic in the last couple of years. Now,
Mhm.
one of the rumors that is floating around is like, well, wow, these prices are going up. Does that mean that GM wants to get out, or Chevrolet Performance wants to get out of the parts selling business? So what would you say to that?
Not at all. Not at all. We're doing everything we can to stay in this business because when it comes to the small block Chevrolet that we use for the CT350 and the CT400, I also use that base engine and 95% of those parts in about 12 of my Crate hot rod engines that I sell for people, for other off-road applications or for hot rodding or for drag racing or things like that. So it's not just those two engines. I keep these parts around for a total of about 15 engines, plus the parts of the sale of the parts as well. So definitely not going anywhere. The prices have gone up. I completely understand. The initial hit there was this used to be made, the majority of this engine used to be made and assembled out of the country. And that particular production plant wanted some of our new business. They wanted to get into aluminum and they wanted higher volume. And they had actually wanted that for quite a long time. And we finally allowed that change to make so that production plant could do something more modern. And we had a choice to make at that point, that were we done with the small blocks or do we resource it? So we resourced it and we brought the majority of it into the United States. And now those parts are not made on a production line. They're not made on a transfer line. So it all takes longer, and time is money, right?
Mhm.
Now the block is completely CNC machine, and every gearhead knows CNC machining is going to be tighter tolerances. So it is a better block. Same thing with the heads. The heads are all CNC machined instead of going down a transfer line that is equipment that would have been from the 90s.
Okay.
The crankshaft. When all this happened, we lost our two-piece crank that used to go in our Generation 1 small block, but we also lost our cast crank for the one-piece rear main seal. So the 602 ended up getting the forged crank from the CT400. So again, there were some cost increases, And a lot of that came with the fact that we brought this in country, which I know a lot of my racer fans out there are actually proud of, and they're all right when they know that's part of the reason why they're spending the additional money is because the assembly is being done here. A lot of the machining is being done here. And after the initial hit, then I think everything, including the grocery store, probably shows up the most, right? Through COVID and coming out of COVID, everything has gone up. And all
Mhm.
of my suppliers came to me and said, the raw material that we have to buy to make your stuff is going up. And they showed it to me and they proved it. So, so that they're still making a couple pennies on each part, I have to take the cost increase from them. And then so I can make a couple pennies on each engine, I have to turn that cost increase over to the end using price.
Of course, of course. Are
Right.
if there's anything else, are there any other questions that you're receiving from the racing community or anything else that you would like to address? Happy to give you this platform to share with everyone.
Really, I just, and we've talked about it. I just want to touch on it some more that Chevrolet Performance has no plans of going anywhere. It's still very strong. I hope it doesn't go anywhere. I am deeply involved in it. I don't even know where I would go within the company if it did change. So it's not going anywhere at all. I have plans to retire from this position, and I hope I can make that come true. And that's not for another 10 years. So,
Okay.
so I don't think Chevrolet Performance Parts is going anywhere. It is very strong. GM has is a lot of support in it. One thing that shows that support is just yesterday we launched a brand new Chevrolet Performance Parts website. I
Oh,
urge anybody that sees this to go take a look at it. It is very user friendly. It's very intuitive, and it does an excellent job of showcasing our entire portfolio from hot rodding, drag racing, and circle track racing.
well, that's exciting news. I haven't even had a chance to check it out myself. So I will definitely put that into the links wherever you're seeing this video. And thank you so much, James, for your time today. It's so nice to meet you virtually, even if that's the case.
Right.
And this is some fantastic information. Can't wait to get it out there. So
All right.
thanks so much. And I hope you have a Merry Christmas, especially as Santa James Bloss.
Thanks, Kate. I really appreciate the time. Have a great day.
You too.